We're here today at Arbour Hill Cemetery, where 14 of the rising leaders of 1916 are buried, and it's difficult to speak near the graveside of heroes. It's difficult to appreciate the level of their sacrifice. In particular, one imagines that during the graveside oration to O'Donovan Rossa, when Pearse said that from the graves of patriot men and women spring living nations, he already had in his head that here or somewhere similar was where he was going to end up. And it was in that knowledge. And the National Party takes its ideology literally from that speech, in saying that the Ireland that we would have is the Ireland that they would have had, which is one which is not Gaelic merely but free as well, not free merely but Gaelic as well. If I were a government minister, I suppose I could just swish in here in a chauffeur-driven Mercedes, genuflect towards the grave with no particular respect, and then talk about how they would have supported the 2040 plan, and then go on about the Lewis or something like that. But as a National Party leader, I have to talk about something more, something deeper, and that's the national idea that these men, more than anything else, represented, and places us in that tradition. And it's hard to talk about that, because when you're standing beside the graveside of heroes, you can't talk about them without realizing how inadequate anything that you say is going to be. There's no way, for example, that we can make the sacrifice that they made or do the things that they did. But then again, when they did what they did, they didn't know how important it was, what they were doing. They didn't have a sense that we would be standing here in 2018. They didn't have a notion of how their action would lead directly to Irish freedom and lead there so very quickly. So I suppose what we have to think of is of these men ordinary in one sense, doing extraordinary things. And they did the task that was before them in 1916. And the task that was before them in 1916 was to carry the torch of Irish freedom and the torch of the Irish rebellious spirit against foreign tyranny in their generation. And the actions that they took were the rebellion. And the rebellion led, as Pearse knew, the deed I shall do, the death I shall die. In some senses, they all knew that. We can't do the task of 1916. That's not our job. We have to do the task of 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. And we don't know. As members of the National Party, we don't know what that task will be. And we don't know what sacrifices it will involve. We've already made some. Nothing like these men have done. We've already made some. We don't know what we'll be called upon to do. But we do know what motivates it is love of country. Love of country is something that is measured, and again, these men show it, is measured not in numbers, but is measured in intensity. And the intensity of the love that these men had for their country, our country, is the same intensity that I feel at every National Party meeting. Again, we don't know what sacrifices we will have to make, but we do know this much, is that we will follow in their path to this degree. We will do our duty in our day, for our time, for our country. That is our job. That is the National Party way. That is the national idea.